Welcome to our channel where today we dive deep into the world of rare coins and hidden treasures that could be lying in plain sight inside your pocket change. And in this video we will explore one of the most fascinating and valuable coins ever struck by the United States Mint. The 1944 1-cent wheat penny that has shocked collectors and investors worldwide by being worth as much as $800,000 because of its remarkable errors, its historical context, and the mistakes during minting that turned an ordinary copper penny into a fortune. And as we move through this incredible journey, you will see how history, rarity, condition, and demand combine to create immense value for what many people might overlook as just a small piece of change. Yet this coin holds stories of wartime America, shifting materials, minting mishaps, and the sheer power of collector demand. So let's break it down in detail and fully understand why this particular 1944 penny stands as one of the most desirable and expensive Lincoln wheat cents in existence. Because during World War II the U.S. Mint faced a major challenge in 1943 when copper was diverted to the war effort, so pennies were struck from zinc-coated steel instead. But in 1944 the Mint switched back to copper using recycled shell casings, yet some steel planchets from the previous year remained in the system, leading to the accidental striking of 1944 pennies on leftover steel blanks. And these are the legendary 1944 steel cents. But the 1944 wheat penny we are talking about is special because of the Denver Mint errors that combine several factors, including double dies, repunched mint marks, and in some extraordinary cases a steel planchet error, which turned the coin into an extreme rarity, and collectors are willing to pay astronomical prices when such errors align. So imagine holding a coin that was supposed to be an ordinary copper wheat cent yet reveals itself under magnification to have striking anomalies like doubled inscriptions on "In God We Trust," or "Liberty," or even a bold double date where the 1944 looks shadowed or misaligned, and then the mint mark D for Denver shows signs of repunching where it was stamped more than once, creating a clear doubling effect under a loop. And then on top of all that the coin might be sitting on a leftover steel planchet that was never intended for 1944 issues, making it magnetic, lighter than normal, and instantly recognizable as a minting error. And these combinations of mistakes are so rare that perhaps only a handful exist, which is why the value can soar into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. And in pristine condition with high grades from professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, the price realized at auction has broken records with collectors battling to own a piece of American numismatic history. But even circulated examples with visible errors can command huge sums because rarity trumps condition when the mistake itself is that significant, and this leads us into the fascinating world of coin grading where the difference between a circulated grade like VF, very fine, and an uncirculated grade like MS65 can add hundreds of thousands of dollars in value. And with a coin like the 1944 era penny, every detail counts because the sharper the strike, the cleaner the fields, the brighter the luster, and the fewer the contact marks, the higher the price climbs. Yet even a coin with scratches and wear can still bring life-changing money if it clearly exhibits the error, such as being struck on a steel planchet or showing dramatic doubling. So when we think about what makes a coin valuable, we need to look at rarity, demand, condition, and story. And the 1944 wheat penny has all of these in abundance, because its story is tied to World War II and the transition between metals. Its rarity comes from the accidental use of leftover steel planchets, and the striking anomalies. Its condition is preserved in some cases by collectors who unknowingly saved them for decades, and the demand is fueled by passionate numismatists who recognize the historical significance and scarcity. So let's imagine for a moment finding one of these coins in your change jar or in a collection handed down by grandparents. It may look like just another wheat penny with Lincoln on the obverse and wheat ears on the reverse. But upon closer inspection you realize something feels off, the weight is different, or a magnet pulls it, or you notice doubling in the date or lettering, and suddenly you are holding an object that could change your life financially. And stories like these are not just myths because several lucky individuals have indeed discovered valuable 1944 era pennies in everyday circulation or old collections, leading to incredible auction results. And the marketplace for these coins is thriving as investors see them not just as collectibles but as tangible assets with proven track records of appreciating in value. So the psychology behind why collectors pay so much is worth exploring too, because when you have a population report that shows only a handful of surviving examples, owning one becomes not just a financial investment but a statement of prestige and a piece of history. And auctions often turn into bidding wars because passionate collectors cannot resist the allure of owning what others cannot. And this scarcity drives prices higher with each passing year, making the 1944 era penny a blue-chip coin in the world of numismatics. And beyond errors like double dies and steel planchets, there are also off-center strikes, clipped planchets, broad strikes, and die cracks that sometimes appear on 1944 wheat pennies. And while these may not reach the astronomical $800,000 level, they still command strong premiums because era collectors appreciate the uniqueness of each flaw. And this adds layers of possibilities for what makes a coin from this year valuable. So, whether it's the ultra-rare steel sent from Denver, the dramatic double dies, the repunched mint marks, or the other striking anomalies, each era tells a story of human oversight, machine imperfection, and the complexity of minting millions of coins under wartime pressure, which all contributes to why the 1944 wheat penny is a legend among Lincoln cents. And when you step back and think about it, the fact that such a tiny object can carry so much value is a testament to human fascination with rarity, history, and ownership, because money itself is just a symbol of value, but when mistakes in money occur, they become even more valuable than the face value they were assigned. And in this case, the penny worth a cent becomes a treasure worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. And as we continue exploring the nuances of this coin, we also see how important it is to educate yourself about detecting errors. Because spotting doubling, misstrikes, or unusual metal composition requires knowledge, tools, and patience. And collectors who invest time in learning often find themselves ahead of the game, discovering coins others overlook. And the thrill of the hunt becomes as rewarding as the value of the find itself. So in the case of the 1944 penny, the excitement comes not just from its market price but from the very act of realizing what you are holding. That moment when your heart skips a beat because you recognize a rare variety. And that's what keeps the hobby alive. So too, everyone watching this video, remember that treasures are still out there waiting to be discovered, sometimes in jars, drawers, collections, and even in pocket change. And while not every penny will be worth a fortune, the possibility alone makes the search thrilling, so always check your coins carefully, pay attention to the dates and mint marks, learn about common and rare errors. And you might just be the next person to stumble upon a 1944 wheat penny worth $800,000. And as we wrap up this deep dive into the incredible story of this coin, we hope you feel inspired to look at pennies differently, not as small change but as potential treasures of history, rarity, and value, because you never know what lies hidden in plain sight. And with that, we thank you for joining us today. We appreciate your time, your curiosity, and your passion for learning about coins, so don't forget to like this video, share it with fellow collectors or curious friends, subscribe to our channel for more fascinating stories about rare and valuable coins, and stay tuned for even more discoveries that could be waiting for you. Because the world of numismatics is filled with surprises and the next life-changing coin could be closer than you think. Next, 1945 1-cent wheat penny. We are continuing from our last deep dive into the 1944 wheat penny and moving straight into the equally fascinating story of the 1945 1-cent wheat penny that has stunned collectors by reaching values as high as $700,000 due to its extraordinary errors, rare minting mistakes, and the unique circumstances that make this particular year's coinage a collector's dream. And just like before, this video is designed to open your eyes to how something so small and overlooked can be worth more than houses, cars, or even a lifetime of savings. Because these coins are not just about money but about history, human error, and the passion of numismatists who will stop at nothing to secure these rarities. So let's dive in with full energy and detail into why the 1945 wheat penny deserves the spotlight. Because when you hear that a coin worth 1 cent at face value can command $750,000, it almost sounds like fiction, but it is very real. And we will break down how such astronomical value is possible, starting with the context of 1945 itself, as this was the year when World War II finally came to an end, and with victory celebrations, returning soldiers, and a world in transition. The United States Mint was still under immense pressure to meet coinage demands while also dealing with metal shortages and recycled materials from wartime production, which led to inconsistencies and mishaps during the minting process. And as we already know, errors and mistakes are the lifeblood of numismatic value, because the more unusual and rare the error, the higher the price collectors are willing to pay. And in 1945, several different types of errors occurred across the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, and among these the Denver and San Francisco issues with repunched mint marks, doubled dies, and off-metal strikes are the ones that fetch the most attention, but within this broader picture, the single most jaw-dropping discovery was the 1945 wheat penny struck on leftover steel planchets, similar to the 1944 errors, because steel planchets from 1943 had still not been fully eliminated from the minting process. And when a few accidentally got struck with 1945 dies, a legendary rarity was born. And these steel pennies from 1945 are among the rarest Lincoln cents ever known, often trading hands in private sales or auctions for hundreds of thousands of dollars, because their existence is almost unbelievable given the historical transition back to copper. And when you combine that with other dramatic errors like doubled obverse inscriptions where Liberty, or In God We Trust, appear shadowed, repunched mint marks where the S, or D, shows a clear second impression, off-center strikes where Lincoln's portrait is shifted significantly, or broad strikes where the rim is missing entirely, you create a cocktail of rarity that makes this coin worth up to $700,000 in the right circumstances. And imagine for a second finding one of these coins, perhaps passed down in a jar of old wheat cents from a grandparent or discovered at a flea market, and you notice something odd. Maybe the coin sticks to a magnet, or the date looks doubled, or the mint mark appears thicker than usual, and suddenly you are holding what could be a life-changing treasure, and this is what excites collectors and fuels the endless search. Because these errors are not visible in every coin, but when they do appear, they are unmistakable and highly prized. And let us explore more deeply how grading plays a role, because a 1945 era penny in average circulated condition may still fetch thousands, but in uncirculated grades certified by PCGS or NGC as MS65 or above, the price skyrockets, because such well-preserved era coins are virtually non-existent, making them not just rare but almost unique. And uniqueness always brings prestige, competition, and record-breaking bids at auction, so whether it is heritage auctions, Stack's Bowers, or private sales between elite collectors, the battle to secure one of these coins drives the prices higher and higher. And beyond the financial aspect, there is also the human fascination with imperfection, because coins are supposed to be uniform, precise, and identical, yet when something goes wrong during minting, those flaws transform the coin into something special, something that stands apart. And in the case of the 1945 penny, the flaws are tied directly to a period of enormous global significance, the end of World War II, which makes them not only numismatic treasures but historical artifacts, and collectors love owning pieces that carry stories bigger than themselves, stories of soldiers coming home, factories shifting back to peacetime production, and the mint adapting to peacetime demands. So when a coin from this era also bears visible mistakes, it feels like holding a slice of history frozen in metal, and that emotional connection amplifies the desire to own it, which in turn pushes values higher. And when we talk about varieties, we must also mention the lesser-known but still valuable misstrikes like die cracks where lines run across the coin from a broken die, clipped planchets where part of the coin is missing from the edge, lamination errors where the surface peels or flakes due to metal impurities, and off-metal strikes where a cent was struck on dime or foreign coin blanks, all of which are possibilities for 1945 wheat cents, and all of which command strong premiums. And though not every one of these errors will reach the $700,000 figure, they still show how wide the range of possibilities is for value, and the $700,000 mark is reserved for the most spectacular, such as the steel planchet strikes in high-grade or dramatic doubled die examples with bold clarity. And the rarity of these cannot be overstated, because unlike coins struck by design, errors are by nature accidental and therefore limited in number, And this extreme scarcity is what sets them apart from other collectibles like stamps or art, because you cannot simply mint another error, and that finality ensures long-term value. So as we move forward, think about how many people still ignore wheat pennies, dismissing them as common and low in value, while in reality some of them could be sitting on a jackpot. And this is the message we bring to our viewers again and again, that knowledge, patience, and curiosity are the keys to unlocking treasures hidden in plain sight, and the 1945 penny is a shining example, worth $700,000 not because of what it was meant to be but because of what went wrong during its creation, and that lesson itself is a reminder that imperfection can be priceless. And as you check your own coins or inherited collections, always look closely at the dates, mint marks, weight, and appearance. Because the signs of errors are subtle, but once you train your eye they become easier to spot. And who knows? Maybe the next great discovery is waiting in your hands. And remember, even if you don't find the ultra-rare $700,000 variety, there are countless other era pennies from 1945 that can still bring in hundreds or thousands of dollars, making the hunt worthwhile. And that thrill of discovery is what keeps collectors passionate, because each coin tells a story, each error is unique, and each find connects you to history in a tangible way. So as we close out this deep dive into the 1945 1-cent wheat penny worth $700,000, we encourage you to keep exploring, keep learning, and keep searching, because the world of numismatics is filled with treasures waiting for those who know how to look. And we thank you for joining us once again. So if you enjoyed this journey and want more stories of coins that could change your life, don't forget to like this video. Share it with others who might be sitting on hidden treasures without realizing it, and subscribe to our channel for more incredible coin stories. Because we are just getting started and the next rare discovery could be even more astonishing than this one, so stay tuned and never underestimate the power of a penny. Next, 1958 1-cent USA wheat penny. We continue our epic journey into the world of Lincoln wheat pennies with another extraordinary piece of numismatic history. The 1958 1-cent wheat penny that has stunned collectors and investors alike by being valued at an astonishing $700,000 due to its extreme rarity, remarkable errors, and the historical circumstances that make it one of the most desirable coins ever struck by the United States Mint. And just like with the 1944 and 1945 wheat pennies we've already explored, the 1958 wheat cent shows how a simple coin worth only 1 cent at face value can turn into a life-changing fortune when the right combination of mistakes, rarity, and collector demand comes together. So sit back and join us as we go into immense detail about why this coin has such incredible worth, and how you might just find one hiding in an old collection, a coin jar, or a forgotten stash of change, because history has proven that these coins really do surface in the most unexpected places, and with a value reaching $700,000, you will definitely want to learn every detail about what makes the 1958 wheat penny so valuable. The story begins in the late 1950s, a time when America was booming after World War II, the economy was strong, new technologies were shaping the modern world, and the United States Mint was producing billions of pennies annually to meet the demands of commerce. And by 1958 the wheat penny had already become familiar to the public. Featuring Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and 2 wheat ears on the reverse, a design that had been in use since 1909, and ironically 1958 was the very last year of the Lincoln wheat penny before it transitioned to the Lincoln Memorial design in 1959, making the 1958 wheat cent the final issue of this beloved series. And any time you have a last year coin, collectors naturally pay attention, but what makes the 1958 wheat penny worth $700,000 is not just its status as the final issue but the existence of spectacular errors, and in particular the legendary 1958 double die obverse, which is one of the rarest and most desirable double dies in the entire Lincoln cent series, with only a handful of examples known to exist, and its rarity combined with the fact that it was discovered very late, decades after striking, has made it one of the holy grails of penny collecting. And when one comes to auction, it creates headlines across the collecting world. So what exactly is a double die? And why does it matter so much, especially in the case of the 1958 penny? Well, a double die occurs during the hubbing process when the design on the die is impressed twice but slightly misaligned, leading to clear duplication of the design elements on the coin. And for the 1958 double die obverse, the doubling is dramatic and unmistakable, showing strongly on the inscriptions such as "Liberty in God We Trust" and the date 1958 itself, and this type of doubling is considered a major error. Rather than simple strike doubling, which is far more common but less valuable, and because only a couple of true double die obverse 1958 pennies have been confirmed by grading services like PCGS, the rarity is off the charts. And when rarity is combined with demand, you get astronomical prices, which is why this coin has achieved sales nearing $700,000 in top grades. And it remains one of the most expensive Lincoln cents in existence. But the double die is not the only type of error found in 1958 wheat pennies, because this year also produced several other anomalies like repunched mint marks, off-center strikes, broad strikes, and even lamination errors. And while none of these reach the extreme value of the double die obverse, they still bring significant premiums compared to normal 1958 wheat cents, which are generally common in circulation. But the focus here is the double die, because it is so rare that even seasoned collectors may never encounter one in their lifetimes, and that kind of scarcity is what elevates it to legendary status, comparable to the 1909 SVDB cent or the 1914 D cent, except rarer because so few exist. Now imagine the thrill of someone discovering this coin, perhaps sitting unnoticed in a roll of wheat cents that has been stored for decades, and under magnification they suddenly notice the dramatic doubling. And at that moment they realize they are holding one of the rarest Lincoln cents ever struck, a coin that could fetch hundreds of thousands of dollars at auction. And that feeling of discovery is part of what makes coin collecting so exciting, because you never know what you might find in even the most ordinary-looking change, and the 1958 double die is the perfect example of a life-changing find, and its value will only continue to grow as the years pass because of the combination of rarity, demand, and historical importance. To understand why collectors are willing to pay $700,000 for this coin, we also need to consider the psychology of collecting and the prestige factor, because owning a 1958 double die obverse penny means you are part of an extremely small group of individuals who possess one of the rarest U.S. coins ever created, and that exclusivity drives competition among wealthy collectors who want to add it to their collection not only as an investment but also as a symbol of status. And when these coins appear at major auctions like Heritage or Stack's Bowers, bidding wars erupt because collectors understand that opportunities to buy one are incredibly rare, and this competition pushes the price higher and higher, with no ceiling in sight, especially as more people enter the coin market as investors. The grading of these coins also plays a huge role in their value, because a 1958 double die obverse penny in lower circulated condition would still be worth an incredible sum, possibly in the hundreds of thousands, but in mint state condition certified by PCGS or NGC as MS64, MS65, or higher, the value soars, and because only a few exist, finding one in such pristine condition is almost impossible, which explains the record-breaking sales. And even among other rare double dies like the 1955 double die or the 1972 double die, the 1958 stands out as the rarest and most valuable. But beyond the financial value, the 1958 wheat penny also has symbolic value as the last year of the wheat cent, closing a chapter in U.S. coinage history that lasted nearly 50 years. And collectors cherish final year issues, especially when they come with spectacular errors, because they mark the end of an era and the beginning of a new one. And in 1959 the Lincoln Memorial Reverse debuted, replacing the wheat ears, and many collectors view the 1958 double die as the perfect dramatic finale to the wheat cent series, like a curtain-closing surprise that no one expected. And that symbolism further enhances its desirability. So as we reflect on the 1958 wheat penny and its astonishing $700,000 value, we see that its worth comes from a combination of factors: extreme rarity due to only a couple known examples, dramatic doubling that is visually striking and undeniable, its status as the final wheat cent, the prestige of owning one of the rarest Lincoln cents, and the intense demand from collectors and investors alike. And all of these elements combine to create a coin that is not just valuable but legendary, a coin that inspires dreams among collectors and keeps the thrill of the hunt alive. And now imagine for a moment checking your own coin collection, maybe rolls of wheat pennies saved from circulation, or a jar handed down from grandparents. And within those brown, aged cents lies a coin with unusual doubling. And at first you might dismiss it as common strike doubling, but upon closer inspection you realize it's the true doubled die obverse of 1958. And that realization could change your life forever, because you would be holding one of the rarest coins in U.S. history, worth up to $700,000 or even more in the future. And that is why we encourage everyone to look closely, to learn about errors, and to never underestimate the power of a penny. So as we wrap up this exploration of the 1958 1-cent wheat penny worth $700,000, we hope you are inspired to check your coins carefully and to appreciate the history, rarity, and excitement that coin collecting brings, because even the smallest coin can hold stories of human error, history, and immense value, and the 1958 wheat penny proves that beyond doubt. So thank you for joining us on this journey, and don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends who might be sitting on hidden treasures without even realizing it, and subscribe to our channel for more incredible stories of rare and valuable coins, because the world of numismatics is filled with surprises. And the next great discovery could be closer than you think.